Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are in the final chapter of the Mutant Massacre as far as the Uncanny X-Men go. There is an epilogue with 214, but this is the bulk of it. One of my favorite covers. Beautiful cover by Alan Davis, who does the inside along with Paul Neary. Paul Neary has passed away last year. Rest in peace. Wonderful cover. Mutant Massacre is my sweet spot. I absolutely love this era. I have two copies of this issue. I have a beat up copy that I had when I was in middle school and a nicer copy that I bought about 2019 or so. All right, here we go. Psylocke is actually the name or the title of this issue. She officially joins the X-Men on this issue. And it starts off with I Am a Stranger Here. Wonderful cover by Alan Davis. Chris Claremont writes, Alan Davis pencils, Paul Neary inks, Tom Orzechowski letters, and Glynis Oliver colors. Anna Senti and Jim Shooter complete the editorial. Also, rest in peace, Jim Shooter. He passed away a few weeks ago as of this recording. And so two people are no longer with us as of this recording, Paul Neary and Jim Shooter. All right, so we get a little introspective on her. Chris Claremont loves to give us more stuff, but I have a playlist. I've been covering this from the very beginning with Giant Size X-Men #1, which I did with Classic X-Men 1. And we are here. I have a playlist for the X-Men that covers everything. I have a New Mutants playlist. I have an X Factor playlist. And I have an X Universe playlist where everything is all in there. So check it out here. So she's using Cerebro. And I love these eyes that show up. They're well done. And she startles Rogue here. And Psylocke says, I didn't mean to startle you. Anything to report? And Rogue says, nope, place is quiet. Almost yawn as she yawns. Too quiet. You need some sleep. And she says, no less than you, Miss Braddock. And you got cracked ribs to boot. Don't fret none, Betsy. I'm fine. And more importantly, this is the X-Men's home turf. Protecting it is the X-Men responsibility. So then she scans even more down the mansion, takes a look at the infirmary. We got Sharon and Moira McTaggart. We've got Nightcrawler. We've got Colossus, who's paralyzed. Nightcrawler is just super injured. And then we've got Kitty Pryde, who is disappearing. Her mutant powers is becoming more pronounced, and eventually she will cease to exist. And Psylocke thinks that she knows, meaning Kitty knows it, but does not despair. And she says, even though she's half her age, her courage shames her, and she weeps for her. Then she goes through, the New Mutants have disappeared. I cover New Mutants as well. We know where they are, but the X-Men think they went into the tunnels and were killed. So, and then she thinks about Douglas Ramsey. She's got feelings for him. Chris Claremont. Inappropriate relationships between adults and children. So I'm sure she's like, I don't know, 20 years old, 21, but he's like, I don't know, 13, 14. Although she said Kitty was half her age, so that would make her 28, so definitely not. So New York City, we're at the tunnels here, and Wolverine is right here crouched. We're wasting our time, Storm. Plasma waves swept through here too. We might as well accept it involved the entire network. Fire swept everything clean. I can't find a trace of a scent, of anyone's scent. And so we saw in Thor what happened. I have a playlist with Thor. It's also in the X Universe playlist, so do check that out. And Magneto says, and I say Magneto, not Magneto. Everything flammable was consumed. The tunnels are now as they must have been before the Morlocks ever arrived. And Callisto says, nothing left. No bodies, no clothes, no keepsakes. Our existence has been wiped. And she continues here, from the face of the stinking world. Who did this, Storm? What did this? She says, and lightning, says Storm. This just beautiful, beautiful artwork. I think Alan Davis should have stuck around. He was doing Detective Comics prior to this, and then this is his first return to Marvel. And he never actually worked for Marvel prior to this. He worked for, I think, Marvel UK. And so Callisto says, what are you saying? When you and I fought upstate, and that was in the previous issue, there was lightning flashing all over the place. Crazy, like I've never seen before. And Storm says, I remember. Was that your doing? And if you guys remember, Storm does not have her powers during this time, but she will get them in approximately about 15 issues from now. And Callisto continues, you don't possess your powers anymore. You no longer control the weather. That is what I believed, Storm says, but now I am no longer certain. Are you saying you're responsible for this? And Storm says, I do not know. I love how Callisto, just showing how angry she is. And so Wolverine says, we won't be able to follow any Marauders trail from here. Same goes for the New Mutants. Gotta figure if they'd survived, they'd have found some way to contact us. And of course, they're not on... they went to Limbo, but then they are on Earth, but they're in the past. And, of course, they don't know it. So Magneto says, no, I believe the worst if you wish, Wolverine. I choose otherwise. Somewhere, somehow, I am certain the New Mutants still live. As headmaster, it is my responsibility to protect them. The Hellfire Club has invited me to join their ruling body, the Lord's Cardinal as White King. Perhaps I should accept. And Storm says, an alliance with the X-Men's deadliest foes? Impossible. And you can see Magneto smiling a little bit. The reason I say Magneto is because it's Magnet with an O. Magneto would be Magneeto. I just think that Stanley just started pronouncing it like that, and other people did. It's Magneto. It's Magnet O. So, all right. And so he says, not so long ago, Storm, I was the X-Men's deadliest foe, yet look at me now. Face facts, Wind Rider, says Callisto. The X-Men need help. You can't go alone, especially against the Marauders. If I can stomach joining up with you, you can with the Hellfire Club. And so Betsy was listening in, and she appears, and she says, I have a suggestion. I could scan the entire country, possibly hemisphere, for any sign of either the New Mutants or the Marauders. With Cerebro amplifying my own natural telepathic talent, I could penetrate virtually any psychic shielding. And Magneto says, at a considerable risk to yourself, young lady, I know you mean well, Psylocke, and such courage and generosity do you proud, but your plan is far too dangerous. And Storm says, we will take your proposal under advisement, Elizabeth. In the meantime, your primary task is to help Rogue maintain security at the mansion. And Psylocke says, I can do both. I want to help Storm, And Storm, as says, then Psylocke, do as I ask, and she disappears. Storm's a badass. And so Wolverine says, we could have used her power, Ororo. And Storm says, she means well, Logan, but she is too unknown, untested a quantity. These days we cannot afford any mistakes. I want no more bodies on my conscience. Better Elizabeth remain on the sidelines, where she will be safe. And so Psylocke's feeling just terrible, and she wants to show him. And all of a sudden she goes, "What's that? A mind flash. A stranger entering the school grounds. A side scan should fix his location identity and determine whether or not he's a threat." And then she screams, beautifully done here. Oh, that's awesome. And she's down. You can see smoke coming from Cerebro. We get an interlude, Los Angeles, and we've got Dazzler here. She's dyed her hair black or is wearing a wig, one of the two. So she's going through, and she sort of misses her life, but she got outed as a mutant, so now she's just a backup singer for Leela Cheney. And she says here that, she has been kind of blending in, and that's what she wants. And suddenly Malice says, "Bull, you hate it. My reflection, Malice." And she says, "Why so surprised, honey? I'm a part of you. You'll never be rid of me. You're a star, Dazzler. Always, always were, always will be." And she says, "No, you're this. It's wrong." And Malice says, "To be all you can be, where's the harm? Do you really believe it's wrong to look like this instead of this?" Meaning how she used to look. Now, if you guys remember, she has been working on Dazzler since X-Men 210. So finally, she has succeeded in breaking through Dazzler. So she's going to go change. And suddenly at this, club here, "I am a star. I am a Dazzler, and it's time the world knew it." So Dazzler is back in a way, but she is possessed by Malice for now. All right, so Rogue is walking through and says, "Mystique, if you could see your foster daughter now, bet you'd hardly recognize her. Gal who used to think only of herself, hanging out with the X-Men to the bitter end. Not kind of nice feeling, caring about others." And suddenly Sabretooth grabs her and just slams her here. Bang, baby doll. And then punches her through really hard. He's strong, but he's not supposed to be super strong, but, whatever. I like how they don't really show him, even though he was on the cover. So, and then he's like, "You're dead." I love this panel here. It is awesome. And so she starts to get up, and she goes, "Got careless. Cerebro, amplifying my psi power. Strangers, mind, hostile, worse than any beast." And so she's going to contact the X-Men, but Sabretooth is right behind her, and he destroys Cerebro. She uses a psychic attack, and realizes that her arm is cut too. This is where he grabbed her, because at first you kind of look here, and that's not. It would have been nice if it would have been here, but he sort of gets her there. And so she's like, "I'm too weak, too groggy to properly fry his brain." Remember, she has a bad rib as well from the previous issue. And so she starts to run away, and Sabretooth is like, "Yeah, that's not happening." And so she keeps egging him on. And so he's like, "I hope you like screaming, babe. Before I'm through, you're going to do a lot." And so Moira McTaggart and Sharon watch. And so McTaggart says, "Sharon, seal all access ways from the mansion to this complex." And she's like, "What about Psylocke? And can't we help her?" And before Moira was retconned as a mutant, she goes, "We're two ordinary humans against a powerhouse like that. Imagine what he'll do if we find these helpless patients. Don't you see, Sharon? She's leading him away from us. paying for our survival with her life. So they're gonna make her sacrifice. So in the gym, she grabs a barbell and tosses it at him. He goes, "Ah, you're pretty strong for a skirt." And then he bends it here. Like I said, he's not supposed to be super strong, just very strong. But and so he tosses this at her and kind of misses her a little bit, but it does. She does kind of go out the window here, but catches the oh my gosh, I forgot what these things are called. It's for the water to go through. Anyway, she catches this and climbs up, and he is she's saying how much pain she is, and he tries to get her. She falls through the skylight, and man, oh man, she's still bad ribs. Man, oh man, she's got to be in so much pain. And she's like, "Don't quit now." And she grabs the knife here, doesn't know how to use it. He gets her here, and he's like, "My kind of gal, defiant till the end." And then, beautiful panel here. Oh my gosh, Alan Davis should have stayed on X-Men until Mark Silvestri started. I would have loved, because he didn't really. I think he did another annual, um, but let's see. He did the new. He did. I lied. He did two New Mutants annuals. He did an X-Men annual. He did 2 issues of Uncanny X-Men. This one, and I think 215 he'll be doing. But man, oh man, can you imagine if Alan Davis would have stayed at least until Mark Silvestri took over? And dare I say, I actually like Alan Davis more than Mark Silvestri. I know, sacrilegious. I like current Mark Silvestri, but Mark Silvestri back then, Alan Davis was way better than Mark Silvestri early on. So, and so Wolverine says, "How about tackling somebody more your speed?" Luckily, he didn't say size because Wolverine's supposed to be short. And Sabretooth says, "Soon as I've taken care of business with the lady," and then Storm hits him, and with this not a stick, like a bolt. I don't know. Anyway, she says, "Another time, villain. Tonight, Psylocke walks free." And so, bad move, babe, making me mad. That guarantees you suffer before you die. I like the big eye here. Although I think that's colored. I don't think he drew an eye. Huh. And so I love this, the screaming. You want them, bub? You deal with me first." And he says, "No problem." Sabretooth roars like his namesake. And then I like this. And then both men move in a blur, almost faster than the mic can follow, but only one of them draws blood. And he says, "Tasty runt." As always, this is just awesome. Real quick as well, I would have loved to also have been able, if Rick Lonardi stay as penciler as well. That also would have been pretty cool. I liked Leonardi more than Silvestri back then. Silvestri really becomes Silvestri as he continues on through the X-Men, and then his run on Wolverine with Larry Hama, he really explodes into what we know now with Cyberforce and Image and all that kind of stuff. But and so Sabretooth says, "You gonna play this straight boy or rabbit like last time?" He says, "Make a move, find out." So, of course, in 212 they had first round. So here they go. They start fighting. Look at this. This is just and so here comes the fight. And so I'm not gonna read all this here. And so Magneto goes into Storm's attic, and he says, "Callisto has found Rogue. Storm, the child is all right. Is Miss Braddock?" And Psylocke says, "I look far worse, Magneto, than I actually am." So he takes the table here, and he makes some handcuffs here and leg cuffs. And he says, "These improvised chains should hold our foe." And she says, "No, wait. Psylocke says, "We know next to nothing about the Marauders. This is a perfect opportunity to learn." And Magneto says, "And we shall, once Sabretooth is properly restrained." And she says, "His psychic defenses are formidable. Under those conditions, they'll be fully active. I doubt we'll learn a thing. But now his concentration is focused on his battle with Wolverine. I can slip into his mind without him noticing." "And what of Wolverine?" says Magneto. "Is your plan worth his unwitting sacrifice?" And so she says here, "He can take care of himself, Magneto. He'll have to. Storm, I know what I'm talking about. I can do this. I'm the only one who can. For all our sakes, at least let me try," as we see them still fighting here. And Storm says, "Do it." And so she starts to dig in, and oh my goodness gracious. And as the two of them fight and fight and fight, oh, um, just awesome. She says they like fighting. That's the thing that she's digging through. And so we get here that there is a mystery man, which we will learn that it is Mr. Sinister here. And so she says she has to probe deeper and apologizes to Wolverine because they got to keep going. I love these things, these checklists from back in the day. They're so cool. And says she finally and says, "Wolverine, I have the information we need. There's no more need to fight. We won." And Wolverine says, "Hear that, sucker? You've been conned. I kept you busy. Psylocke tapped your teeny tiny mind, and now we're gonna put you away permanently." And so Sabretooth does not like they say, "Smart play, Run. I'm impressed, but you ain't taking me," as he pushes him back, and he jumps out, and Wolverine goes behind him, and here comes Magneto with Callisto. "And you can bet I'll be back," he says. "Not if I have anything to say about it. Your history, bub," as he gets there. And Rogue goes, "Wolvie, you loon, don't you know when to quit?" And so I sense only Rogue and Wolverine's presence. Sabretooth is gone. "Slain, you mean?" asks Magneto, and she says, "I do not know." And Wolverine's like, "Don't count on it. Let me go, girl. We got to keep looking till we find him." And so they search here, and we were lucky. If not for Psylocke, there would have been another massacre here. It's not over. Marauders will keep coming till they get us, unless we nail them first. But we can't hit back effectively while we're forced to cover the wounded back here at the mansion, says Wolverine. And so Storm says, "A good point. They might well be safer at Dr. McTaggart's research facility on Muir Isle in Scotland." And Callisto agrees. And Wolverine says we owe Psylocke an apology. And here she's wearing her pink costume, which I love. This is, of course, Psylocke before she turned Japanese. Well, she wasn't turned Japanese, but that's a story for another day way in the future. Way, way in the future. Probably a couple years in the future. In fact, I may never get to it, but if you read X-Men, you'll see what happens, or feel free to check it out using the website that I provided. And so Wolverine says she's proved herself and then some. If she wants, she's an X-Men. And so Psylocke comes through and she says, "That is what I want, if there are no objections." And Storm says, "Wolverine speaks for us all, Elizabeth. Welcome to the team." And so Magneto's not really a member of the X-Men. He's just a school, and then Callisto's not. So you just see the current team. But we know that Dazzler is coming, and Longshot is coming, and then Havoc actually is going to take a while. Havoc, I think, joins in 218 or 219. So the issue that Brett Blevins does, and next issue with Malice Toward All. But before we do X-Men 214, we're actually going to do Uncanny X-Men Annual number 10, which Arthur Adams will draw. So Uncanny X-Men 213 by Chris Claremont, Alan Davis, and Paul Neary. Or Neary, I don't know. It's near plus the Y, Neary. I think it should be Neary, but All right, like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Although the word is pair. Pair. I don't know. I digress. All right. Goodbye.